I'm live, everybody. That's it. It's just said you are live. So that means we're live. Well, how to start this thing off? I just thought, so many people around the world sat there at home, not knowing what to do. And I just thought, what can I do to liven up everyone's day? It's pretty hard. I'm here in Spain. Those of you that don't know that I moved to Spain. I did my own Brexit and I now live in Spain. But, I've been indoors here for pretty much 16 days. Let me just turn my notifications off. Otherwise, my computer's going to keep bombarding me with notifications. Just bear with me 1 second. I just sort this out now at the start rather than bothering us all the way through. Right, good. So I've been in one of those work meetings where your phone keeps pinging all the way through it. Thanks everybody for joining. There's already 170 and more people joining all the time, and all the messages you keep sending. It's going to be impossible for me to. I'm looking at the messages, so when you see me looking at the side of the screen, I'm looking at the messages. People from New Zealand, Jersey, Argentina, all over the world. It's really awesome that you all joined, and I hope that I can make it as fun, informative, interactive as possible. I'll try and keep scanning over the side to see some stuff. I got another computer here with a lot of questions on it, so hopefully I can keep the live stream going and also the questions, and also try and answer some along the way. But thanks everyone for joining. We'll get it underway. So first question, well, I've got about 50 questions written down on this piece here, so I don't know which order to go through, so I'm just going to start at the very beginning. And it probably better to start with a question that came from Orbie Thomas, and he said, I'd love to know what's happening in Spain right now. And since the reason that I'm here is because of what's happening in Spain right now and all around the world, I thought it's a good point to start that discussion. So I've been in the house for, it'll be 3 weeks on Wednesday, since I started the lockdown. The Spanish government were pretty quick on the case to put the lockdown in place. We were probably about the third country to go on lockdown. And I know many countries around the world are having their own lockdowns as a result of this COVID-19 virus. And yeah, we have literally been in the house for nearly 3 weeks. So I think it's about 17 days or something now. Inside the house. I've not been out other than into the garden, and that's it. And for those people wondering how I'm getting on without riding my bikes, well, my garage is not at the house. It's away from my workshop's away from the house, and I can't even go there. And the serious of the situation and how the police and the government are dealing with it here in Spain is very serious. Like, if you go out in your car, you must be going only for essentials. You can only have one person in the car. If you're found to be doing anything non-essential, it's €600 minimum fine. So it's serious here. So we're in the house. We had enough food to last for a good 3 weeks. Need to go shopping next week. But that's the situation here. So I'm not going to drag on too much about it. But what I do want to say before we get underway is a massive thank you if there's anyone out there that's still grafting hard, delivering stuff, working in hospitals, all of those essential needs. Thank you ever so much for doing that, for all those of us that can't be outside doing those things and are stuck indoors. So let's now get on to some fun stuff about me, my travels, share some thoughts with you on some subjects, and we'll see how it rolls. So where do we start? Right, well, first of all, I'm going to start with a lot of YouTube questions. I got a list of about 20 YouTube questions, and I'll try and whiz through them in no particular order. So anything you've learned from your trip, from a world trip, that you really wish you knew before you set off? Oh, that's a difficult one. I think there's a lot of things that you learn when you're traveling around the world that you didn't know when you set off. One of the really important things is how to handle border crossings, and how to handle those situations where they can be a little bit more difficult than you imagined. And just kind of understanding that if you don't do it in a certain way, it's going to cause more trouble for you. So there's a lot of border crossings that are quite, the people at the crossings know that they've got you. They know you need to go through the crossing, and they can pretty much charge you whatever they want for you to let you through the border crossings, and particularly in like third world countries. And you have to kind of know how to deal with those, because if you just say, no, I'm not paying it, no, I'm not paying it, they're not going to let you in. So you get some really good negotiation skills, and you learn that laughing and joking and trying to lighten the environment that you're in makes a big difference. Other than that, the only thing that I wish I knew before I set off was how much fun I was going to have and how little money it was going to cost. Because if I'd have known how much fun I was going to have and how little money it was going to cost, and how many awesome people that I would meet when I traveled around the world, if I knew that, I would feel a lot less weary or uncomfortable about going and doing it in the first place. So that's one of the big things I think that I wish I knew before I set off, because it wasn't as expensive as I imagined. So another question again from Paul Giles: anywhere you had to leave early because of time or schedule constraints that you really wanted to see more? So yes. Traveling down to the start of Dakar 2017 through Peru and Bolivia and those places, I really wanted to explore more around there, but I had to get to the start of the race, so there was nothing to stack around for. I had to just ride. We rode like 500 kilometers a day. I was with Tony at the time and on this Susquehanna 701, and we just rode like to make it to the start, because there was a lot of preparation to do. So I'd definitely like to see a little bit more of South America. Other than that, I did a pretty good job of exploring everywhere that I was and spending the time that I wanted to be in those countries. And I actually only planned for Races to Places to be 18 months, so a year to 18 months, and clearly it was a lot longer than that. So I had spent on average about 8 months on each continent, so quite a good bit of time to travel sort of 50,000 kilometers on each continent. It was a good run. Last one from Paul was, I guess this has now become your job. At what point did my trip, did I think I could make this work, or did you set it out with this in mind? Well, I definitely didn't set out with a plan to make Races to Places or my adventures and sharing my adventures my job, my career, and what has become a job for the last 5 years, pretty much. Of course, I wanted to make it successful, and I wanted to share the video series along with a big sponsor of mine, Adventure Spec at the time, who partnered with me to do Races to Places. And for the first 3 years, we worked really hard together to get the Races to Places series out like we did. And it wasn't really until you do it for like a year, and it wasn't until I got probably 1 million views on it, which was after about 8 months, I think it was, that I realized, okay, 1 million views is quite a lot, and it's not easy to monetize a YouTube travel documentary through YouTube, because the money from YouTube is not huge. So you have to look at different ways to monetize the series, and it was really learning from all those different ways how you can make money from a little bit of advertising, or how you can make money from providing feedback for product or helping to develop product to be able to make it worthwhile. Being an engineer, obviously that helped me a lot, working with companies and stuff like that. But I'd be fair to say that it was at least 2 years into the trip before I realized that actually I could keep this going indefinitely, really. Of course I wasn't going to make a load of money out of it, but at least it would make enough to keep me and allow me to keep moving. And I have to say a huge thank you to everybody that signs up to me on Patreon, because Patreon is really the #1 funding source for the travel documentary Races to Places, in terms of being able to edit and bring the footage to you people, the people that watch it on YouTube, that don't pay for it, because the people that watch on YouTube don't pay for it. But the people on Patreon that contribute, and some of them only contribute $1, like $1 an episode, but it makes a huge difference. And they also get special features. They get special features that don't come out to the public. So things that you see on YouTube, my Patreon my patrons, they get special features as well that don't make it onto YouTube. They also get interaction with me. They get to message me directly, and we have some conversation on there about what to do next. And also they get to see the Races to Places episodes 10 episodes in advance. So they see the next 10 episodes before they go out to the public. So anybody that's not signed up on Patreon that wants to see more episodes, then Patreon is the place to do it. They've both been released on Patreon and been released on YouTube, but they're at a different place in time. So yeah, thanks to all my patrons, that allowed the series to continue, and that's why we're still editing the series and releasing what we are today. In addition to that, obviously, the special projects like Dakar and Africa Eco Race, that's funded through Kickstarter. As those of you know that have signed up for the Kickstarter for the Africa Eco Race, that's how that's funded. So while we're talking about the Africa Eco Race, probably should just bring this out, because I'm sure there's quite a few people online that that signed up to support that project through Kickstarter and are wondering, like, where's my t-shirt, where's my jacket, where's all the stuff that I signed up for? Well, it's all here. Some of them have already been shipped out, but there's a little bit of an issue with shipping in some countries at the moment with this virus that's going on. So we've had to be a little bit careful what we ship out where to. But everything's packaged, everything's ready to go out. So it will be going out in the coming weeks, providing that we're allowed to ship it. So if there's no locks on shipping or receiving in certain countries, they're all going to go out. And you'll be receiving your stuff shortly, so that's really good news. There's a few other things like the polo shirts, the one I'm wearing now, that's now on the website. That was never available before, but it's now available on the website. So, okay, let's move on to some of the questions. Vita, what body protection do you wear? So I don't want to get too much into gear stuff, but I'll just answer the questions because it's quick and easy. But I wear the Lyat Airfit body protection, and I like the soft armor with D3O, and I wear that in all my things. So even if I wear a jacket with armor in, I use the D3O armor. If I'm racing, I use a Lyat Airfit with the D3O armor in, so the soft armor. So that's what I use, and that's what works best for me, and I find the most comfortable. One from Reese Mersdale. How did you get into rally racing? From a total beginner to getting sponsors. Yeah, that's a long story, but I'll try and keep it short. I got into rally racing because I've been riding motorcycles since I was 10 years old. Trials, supermoto, enduro, road racing. I've done loads of different disciplines. But in 2005, I moved to the US, and in 2007, I did my first desert race. And that was how I got into desert racing. So long distance off-road racing on bigger bikes with large fuel capacity. And that's where my love for the desert began, really. And I didn't do my first cross-country race until 2012 when I did the International Rally of Sardinia. It was a world championship round. It was my first roadbook rally. So I know there's obviously a process to go through to get into rallying, that you could go to some local events and you could do some roadbook training with other people before you do an event. I didn't do that. I literally just jumped both feet first, went and did a world championship event, my first rally. I got lost within like a kilometer from the start line because I had no idea how to read a road book, and I was riding way too fast. One thing about rally is you have to ride, you can only ride as fast as you can navigate. And if you try to ride as fast as you can ride, obviously I can ride very fast, but I can't navigate very fast. I couldn't at the start. So I used to just go wrong all the time. But that was learning. That's how I taught myself. Which brings me on to another topic, is that I've never, ever had any motorcycle training from anybody. Everything that I've done is been self-taught. So the whole rallying, roadbook riding, reading a road book, it's all self-taught. Riding bikes, the skills that I've got on a bike, it's all been self-taught, just through trial and error. Go and try it, ride on a weekend, try something out, fail, do it better next time. That's how I learned to ride, and that's how I find myself here today. And the process I went through, it's that's probably why it's taken me to be 40 years old to be any good on a motorcycle. So I did spend a lot of years, you know, learning the hard way. I'm sure you could go and pay and go to training schools and get faster and better much quicker than I did, but I was just the process that I went through. So that's that. That's how I went from a beginner to where I am today. In terms of sponsors, really difficult. The only advice I can really say on that is with all sponsors, you know, you've got to prove yourself before they'll give you anything. They don't just hold a hand out. They don't call you and say, hey, we want to give you something. It doesn't work like that unless you've done something good. Like, so you know, typically sponsors go for championship races, you know, people that have done well in a sport right at the top of the game. That's how it always was in the past. But what I started to see is actually the sponsors value other things as well, like social presence, social media skills, ability to make videos and make something different and unique to what other people have. So if you find a little niche like Races to Places, and it's attractive to some sponsors, then they're going to be interested in it. And I'm not a factory racer. I'm not as fast as some guys out there, but I have another element, another side to me, which is social media, which is important to a lot of sponsors. So that's the only advice I can give, really, is that typically you don't get anything for nothing, and that's the same in life generally. You got to work hard for it, and you've got to offer something in return for what you get, whether it's a pair of gloves or whether it's a monetary contribution to what you're doing. One from Grant Embleton. Let's talk about what went wrong with the 950 when you broke it. Well, I don't know. It's still sat in the garage, but it's that bike is 13 years old now, and it's done over 100,000 miles. It's been on every continent just about. And I still use it today, or I did do until the engine broke on it a while back. But it's already had 2 engine rebuilds, and to be honest, it got parked in the garage pretty much the day it broke, and I haven't had time to do anything with it. So I don't know what's wrong with it, but we'll find out eventually, and we'll get it repaired, and we'll start using it again, because that's been an amazing bike. KTM 950 Adventure 2003. I've had it since 2005, and it's just an amazing bike. So I said it was like, right, 2003, so the bike's like 17 years old. Wow. Okay. Barber biker rider Lyndon, would you ever consider starting adventure stroke rally training schools stroke days at some point? In brackets UK. Not quite sure about UK, but definitely considering doing some rally schools. I'm not quite sure where or when or how. I might possibly do something with new factory rally bikes, because I've got a number of bikes that we could use and rent out. So I don't know. We're going to try and see what comes out at the end of this year. Once this virus thing's decided and kind of over, then we'll have a think about what to do. So, but yes, it has crossed my mind to do something. When and how and where, I don't know. One from John Yoda. How do you pull wheelies so effortlessly? That's a good question. What's the trick and the safest way? Happy days. Yeah. I know it's like second nature to me. Like every single time I get on a bike, whatever bike it is, I have to pull a wheelie. Like that's just how it is. Even here in Spain, like I set off on any bike from my house, and the first thing I do is launch a wheelie because I just love it. And you know, I think I went through a big process with a lot of failures to get to the point where I could actually do a good wheelie. But that practice came on mountain bikes. So a good tip would be to practice on a mountain bike, and you must cover the rear brake. So you've got to cover your rear brake. It's the same when you're doing wheelie on a motorbike. The problem is that wheelies are very easy once you get to the balance point. So once you get to a point where you're at the balance point between going too far and not going far enough. A lot of people wheelie at speed, low down. You really need to get the front wheel up to the balance point so you can keep going. The problem with that is it's dangerous because you're close to the flip point as well. So you have to cover your back brake so that you can pull it back down. Once you've mastered that on a mountain bike, covering your back brake and bringing it back down and keeping in the air, then it just transfers onto a motorcycle, and that's how I learned how to wheelie. So learned on the mountain bike and then transferred onto the motorbike. Okay, another question. Thoughts concerning the GoPro 7 Black. brilliant camera. We used about 10 of them at Africa Eco Race. You know, when I needed a load of GoPros for the Africa Eco Race, I had to spend a lot of money on cameras. Yeah, GoPro don't give me any cameras, so I had to go out, and I wasn't going to buy the new 8s because the price was too high. And we got Hero 7 Blacks, and they were perfect, really good. Still use them today for a lot of stuff. Stabilization's mega. Like, I definitely would recommend it. I don't think anybody needs to go to Hero 8 unless they're professional. And to be honest, I quite like the fact that you can take the camera out of the case. You can't do that on the Hero 8. So that's my take on the cameras. Okay, how does someone get started in rally? I think I've probably already mentioned that in a previous question. You know, you can start by just finding some local rally events is the best thing to do, and just build up from there. Or you can do what I did and just go get a rally bike and just jump in at the deep end. There's many different ways to do it. One from Silver Van Man. Thanks, Silver Van Man. What's your first motorcycle? Mine was a Pee-wee 50. Yeah, Pee-wee 50. My first motorcycle was a TY175 Yamaha 2-stroke trials bike, twin shock, that my dad built for me and gave it to me for my 10th birthday. It was an amazing gift. I had it for a couple of years. I went trials riding all over the UK with my dad, and it was mega. And so if I ever have a little boy or a little girl and they want to get into motorcycling, I'll definitely be getting them a trials bike, because it gives you all the balance and right skills that you need to be safe on a motorcycle. So my dad didn't want me to have a motocross bike straight away, and I think it was the right reason, even though I didn't like the decision at the time. So Tim White asked, when on your round the world trips, what sort of a number of days do you spend camping versus hotels, hostels, and homestays? This changed as the series went on. No, it didn't change as the series went on. It was pretty much the same all the way through the series. I think the only time it changed was in the last 3 months of my trip, because I was back in Europe. The weather was a little bit worse, and I wasn't saving money as much as I was during my trip. But certainly, I probably camped about 50% of the time on Races to Places. I actually like camping. It doesn't cost any money typically. If you rough camp, you're out there on your own, you experience the wilderness, and you can find some really great locations. If you look through my pictures from Races to Places and videos, I would camp on escarpments, overlooking nice places. I would find some really, really cool places to stop and sleep, and that just made the trip what it was, the camping. So yeah, about 50% of the time I would say I camped, and all the other time I hardly ever stayed in a hotel. I nearly always stayed in hostels and homestays and things like that, just because to try and keep the cost as low as possible. Philip, what was the worst navigation ever you made? I asked this question in one of my evening with Lyndons, and he thought it was a good answer. I don't know if I'll give you the wrong answer, a different answer here, but the worst navigation was probably in Dakar 2013, if I remember rightly. I think it was 13. And I remember thinking that I was like, I was following my road book on a stage, and everything was great, and I was on the road book and I was barreling along. There's been a lot of instances like this, but barreling along, thinking that I'm totally en route, and just carried on. But the next junction, next waypoint was like 17 kilometers away. So I was flat out for like 17 kilometers. I thought that one was right, so I did it again. Went down there, and then before I knew it, the next point didn't come. Then the next point didn't come. So I decided to turn around and go back. But I lost my tracks, either with the wind or something. There was no way to find my way back. And I remember riding to the top of a sand dune, the highest one, to look around in the hope that I would see some of the motorcycles, trucks, or cars. And I rode up there, turned my engine off, and I looked around as far as I could see. And there was nothing, nothing. And I'm telling you that the feeling that I had was just like, honestly, my heart sank. I had no idea where I was. Thankfully, there was somebody else in a similar position not too far away that I eventually saw, and I went and met up with him, and we ended up finding our way back. But it was a horrible, horrible feeling. And for all those that got lost in the Africa Eco Race, if you've seen the episode where there was a change in the road book and everyone went and got lost basically because the road book didn't seem to be right. We all took off. We got so lost in there. I mean, I was lost for 2 hours or so in there. And to find my way, I had to do some pretty trick navigation, like following a cap heading for about 25 kilometers off piste through the roughest terrain until I met another track, which I knew was on the road book about 5 or 6 junctions down on another cap heading crossing me. So I knew I'd cross another road. Very risky, but thankfully made my way. Okay, moving on. Sauter's Motor Channel. If you compare rally to hard enduro like Erzberg and trail riding, what would you say rally? Would you say rally is your favorite thing to do? To be honest, I don't have a favorite. I love rally racing because there's a challenge of navigation and there's a little bit more to it than just riding a bike. Just riding around a motocross track, it's fun. I enjoy riding around a motocross track, but I like to navigate. I like to be in new places. I like the challenge of finding my way, and that's something that rally gives you that none of the other sports do. So that's why I like rally so much. But I really do enjoy everything. I enjoy adventure riding, taking it steady. I enjoy riding down to the shop. I enjoy just being out on a motorcycle, whether it's trials riding, motocross, enduro, hard enduro. I enjoy that as well because I used to be a trials rider, so I quite enjoy that. I'm really looking forward to Erzberg this year, and I really hope that it goes ahead. I'm definitely doing Erzberg. I'm definitely doing it on a 2-stroke. So those that have been following in the past and seen that I've done it on the rally bike once. I got my bike stolen in 2018, but I was hoping 2020 was going to be the year, but now we've got this virus, I'm not sure. So they haven't cancelled it yet. So fingers crossed, everyone. Erzberg 2020 goes ahead, and I'll be there on a 2-stroke, which I'm really looking forward to. And for those that want to know, it will be a Husqvarna 2-stroke. So, okay, Brett Congleton, do you miss any aspects of working in the aviation industry? That actually brings me on to another good question, which I read, which is further down the questions. But let's just talk a little bit about my aerospace career. I started my career in aerospace when I was 18 years old, when I left college, and I got an apprenticeship with BAE Systems. I had many, many different jobs for BAE Systems after my apprenticeship, but mainly all around test engineering, ground test engineering, flight test systems engineering, flight test instrumentation. And then towards the end of my career there, I did a stint in the aerodynamic test facility. So you can see all very much around testing military aircraft. So that's what I did in aerospace. I loved my job. It was proper exciting. The engineering was like top class. I learned so much. I met so many clever, interesting and smart people in that industry all over the world. I worked in Sweden, I worked in USA, had the opportunity to work in Saudi Arabia, and I loved it. And that's part of the reason it was so difficult to make the decision to leave to do what I'm doing now, because I did love my job. The last couple of years became very hard when I was made an executive in the company, and my job sort of rolled into more of a management role, and then I didn't enjoy it as much, to be honest. I was dangled a carrot. I went and did other jobs, and I just didn't enjoy that side as much as the engineering, but I still had a great time. And I still worked with some fantastic people and don't regret anything. If it wasn't for the 17 years that I did with BAE Systems, I wouldn't be the person that I am today, because they really brought me out of my shell, made me the person that I am, give me the confidence and the skills to do what I do. And that was obviously a life skill for me and really important. So I'm really glad that I did that. Right, what else? Are you going to let Camilla cut my barnet now I'm on lockdown? No way. I couldn't even, if I asked her, she'd be like, no way, you're not having your hair cut. Like, she would not cut my hair off. She's the one that actually likes it. She even said to me, Camilla, if I had short hair like I did, let me show you this photo, guys. This is like, I'm gonna find it on my phone. You're gonna love this one. If I had short hair like I had 6 years ago, she wouldn't be with me today. It was only my locks that she liked, I think, and it covers my big ears up. Look at the size of those ears. You seen that? So like that's another reason to have long hair. Look, it covers your ears up like that. Anyway, I'm going to find a cool picture for you, just a minute, and you're going to laugh. I know you are. You're going to enjoy this. Those that have been to my evening with Lyndons will have seen this already. Let me show you a picture. Right. If you want to see what I was like, hopefully you can see this in the camera, but this is me. Let me just turn the screen brightness down because it might affect the camera a little bit. This was me in 2013 at BAE Systems. So when I became an executive, this was me. See that? Is there a resemblance, do you think? What do you think? Can you believe it? Like, I used to wear, I don't even own a suit anymore. It's gone. I think I told my mum to throw it away. She's like, what do you want me to do with these shirts and ties? I was like, I don't need those anymore. So I hope you all had a good laugh at that. Fire some comments in if you like that one. Yeah, exactly. Russell Cornwall says nerd. I was definitely a nerd. So, okay, so I'm not having my hair cut. We've established that. James Dawson, what bike would you use for your next adventure? Twin, 690 or 450? Really easy one for me to answer that. I'm actually building a new adventure bike now for myself. It'll be a single cylinder. It will be somewhere between 450 and 690. And I'll for sure share some details on that in the future. It will be lighter than the bike that I'm using at the moment, so it'll be lighter than Basil. But I also love Basil, you know. I love that bike. It's so capable. It carries luggage so well. It's just amazing. So I will use Basil again. I'm in the process of bringing Basil down to Spain so that I can use him here, and hopefully if anyone comes visit me here in Spain or comes to one of our schools, if we do one, then you will be able to ride him too. So he's been an amazing bike. I never imagined that this factory rally bike would make such a good adventure bike. It's been awesome. And to have like 27 customers out there riding the bikes that I've built is really amazing. And the customers love them. I know they're all over the world now. You know, I think we've got them in we've got them in Europe, we've got them in Australia, we've got them in North America, South America, Africa. So we've got bikes everywhere. So it's cool that this bike that I built for myself to go around the world on, now other people are using to travel as well, which is really great. It's a great, reliable, solid adventure bike. Where were we up to? Next adventure, so that's the bike. Imaginary Garage said, any advice for trail riders wanting to find out how to break into their first navigation event? I think I've already covered that pretty much. The thing to do is use the bike that you've got. Don't go and change your bike. Just take the bike you've got, put a cheap road book manually operated on it, make some road books or use some road books at a local event and go and give it a go. Don't spend a load of money until you know that you really want to do it, because it can be expensive rally racing. The total budget for the Africa Eco Race project was 450,000 euros. So to give you an idea how much money it was to put that whole thing together, that includes everything, the cost of the entries and all the riders and everything. The whole budget for the whole thing was 450,000 euros. It's a lot of money. And rallying can be really expensive on a top level if you want to do it like we did it. It's really expensive. And, obviously, like a huge chunk of that, about £85,000, was the media project, which you can take out if you don't want to do the media. But the whole thing can be very expensive. So just start cheap. Make sure you want to do it before you get in. And you can also do it on a budget. You don't have to do it at that level that I do it all the time. You can do it easily cheaper than that. But it's just how you want to do it. Okay, Mark Karstad, what location on your bucket list to return to? To be honest, I don't have a return to bucket list, because the way I think about travel and world travel and experiences in life is that why do something twice? Why do something the same over and over again? And that's how I felt. I think, I did Dakar in 2017, Malimoto, and 2018 again, Malimoto. I did it for a reason. I did it again because I wanted to do this daily video series, and that was great. I achieved it. but it was the same again. It was a Malimoto Dakar again, and I'd done it 3 times now, Dakar Rally, and that's one big reason why I wanted to go and do the Africa Eco Race. So I would just say that I won't necessarily go back to another place again because it's on my bucket list to go back again. I would always look to go somewhere new. So I want to travel in Iceland. I want to go to places that I haven't been before. I don't want to repeat the same thing again. We're only here a short amount of time on this planet, and there's an awful lot to see. So I'm not a big believer in going back and doing the same thing again. I mean, the thought of like these people that go on holiday to the same resort over and over again, like, it drives me crazy. Like, there's so much stuff to see and so many awesome places to go in the world. Like, I'm always looking for something new project, new place, new country, new rally, same thing. Always looking for something new. Okay, so Charles Penner, sorry. If not races to places, what country or continent would you want to spend more time exploring and why? Probably South America, just because I really enjoyed it, and there's a lot more that I want to see down there. Yeah, South America, but there's also other places that I'd love to explore more. I never got to the Northern Cape in Australia because it was rain season. I'd like to see more of Northern Russia, but it's extremely harsh and cold and rough traveling there on a motorcycle. There's loads of ideas I've got of other places that I want to go, and it's just a matter of time and how and who and when and stuff like that. So Steve Ingham said, did what happened in the Africa race leave a bitter taste? Would you have done anything differently? No, for me, no. It's a difficult topic to talk about, obviously, and it's kind of over and under the bridge now. But no, for those that watched episode 17 of the Africa Eco Race series, it was a difficult time. It was difficult dealing with everything that went on. But at the end of the day, all everybody ever wants is a fair chance to do a race and compete like that. And you spend a lot of money to go and do that racing, and you want to get you want to have the best chance at it, just like everybody else is. So the thing that really disappointed me more than anything was the way that the other people, I don't know who it was, reacted to what happened at the race, because that was just like disgusting, to be honest. Like, having the van tire drilled and having my engine tampered with. I mean, it was not called for, and that's what left a bit of taste, if anything. But I'm over it already. Like, this is the world. It happens in all kinds of sports at different levels, and it was just that I was at the receiving end of that. So anyway, moving on. Don't want to dwell on that too much. That's what happened there. You can watch it all in the video. It pretty much spells out exactly what happened. We spent a long time editing that episode to make sure it reflected exactly what happened at the race. So if you haven't seen it, episode 17 is a good one. Okay. G Waldick 1. How did you learn to take amazing pictures over the years? Have you considered selling some on your site for download? Yes, I've considered, and he's also said coffee table books. Yes. Book probably brings me on to another subject. I'm actually writing a book at the moment. It's really difficult. I find it hard to sit and just write. When I get into something, I'm really good at like getting the words out and everything, and I enjoy it. But I find it hard to just sit and concentrate on writing for a period of time. So with regards to pictures, yeah, taking pictures, I don't know, it just evolves over time. I mean, I was really crap at the start of my trip, and then it evolved over time, and I just got better at it. I picked up a lot from people I met on the road. So if I met people traveling that were photographers, for example, I asked them tips and tricks, and my cameras got better as I went along, which allowed me to take good pictures. But I tell you what, the iPhones now, so good. Like, honestly, if I traveled again, I'd probably only take an iPhone. It's so easy to get a quick snap with the iPhone and it'd be a good picture. So technology is moving on, and yeah, that in terms of selling the pictures, yeah, I've thought about uploading them onto SmugMug, which is a site which would allow you to then download and print them. But the thing is, I've got over 100,000 photos from races to places, and it's a mammoth task to go through and decide which ones go on there to sell, because there's a lot. Now, probably would like somebody to do that for me, but trying to find someone, I don't have the budget for it, so I'm gonna have to sit and do it myself someday to try and pick out maybe like 100 or 200 photos from each year and get them on SmugMug. That would be really cool. Just reading one there from Teresa. I showed Lyndon how to do his first Instagram story with Dario in Cape Town. Yes, she did. I remember that. And now I should do more, but I've at least been doing some, so it wasn't a waste of time. You see, that's what I mean. I pick up skills from other people as I go around. Look at my mug, right? This is my mug here at home. Look, that's what Camilla got me, this mug, because I'm hairy. Okay, that's that one. Coffee table book. Yeah, that's going to be my book. So we just have to wait for it, hoping for it to be coming out in the next year. Can't really say any more than that. Will Harridge, what advice do you give someone who enjoys what they're doing for a living but is hesitant to quit their job and travel around the world on a motorcycle? It really comes down to how much you want to travel around the world on a motorcycle and see the world. If I was to give anyone advice, I'd say go and travel around the world over any job. So it's much more valuable as a person traveling around the world. I mean, I learned so much about myself. I became a better person traveling around the world just because of the way people treat me. I learned about myself more and maybe some things in the past that I wanted to change. And I've just become a better person, which I think is awesome to have that happen. MX1 West, hello Jason and co over in the USA. How's your Spanish coming along? We're planning to come and visit in May. Awesome. You must come and visit me, Jason. How's my Spanish coming along? I'd be embarrassed to speak any because I haven't had time to learn it. What I will say is that I can actually, I can ask for where things are and I can ask for foods and things like that. So the basics I'm okay with, but nothing more than that. I need to go to Spanish lessons, really. That's what I need to do. So, all right. So that's all the questions that came on YouTube, but I've got a load from Facebook and Instagram and some really good ones. So I'm going to quickly rattle through some off Facebook and Instagram and just having a quick look at the thing at the size. My 4XL t-shirt is great. Excellent. Someone buying t-shirts in 4XL. You know, I didn't think to get the big sizes because we hardly ever sell any, but I'll have to say we've sold quite a few. So I'm really glad that that we're selling all sizes of t-shirts from X to small right through to 4XL. Cool. Excellent. Yeah, some good comments on there. Thanks for your comments. We got up to nearly 400 people watching at one time, which is really nice to see. Okay, right. Instagram questions. Noah Harvin. Do you still like Matt Sutherland, even though he ate all the soup at the Africa race? Yeah, of course. Matt's a legend. We had such a good time and he really helped to pull the team together and have so much fun. I mean, he was the joker of the team for sure. The next question, you said, how do you keep yourself motivated? There's another question. This one's, how do you keep yourself motivated in rally with very little sleep, injuries and so on? Well, the bottom line is there's a goal and the goal is to get to the finish line. And if that's programmed in there and that's all you're interested in is getting to the finish line, nothing else will matter. You know, at the Sonora Rally, I broke my ankle in 2 places on day 3 and I still finished the rally and I still finished 5th overall. I mean, I went to race and I went to finish the rally, and even though I was in agony with my ankle, I wanted to finish the race. It's determination. Anybody can give up. Anybody can turn it off and stop and go home. And that's the same with anything, you know. Anybody can stop what they're doing at work and go home. Or they can be determined to stay and get it finished. That's what I was like when I was at work. I used to stay at work sometimes till 8, 9 o'clock p.m. because I was determined to get jobs finished. I'm definitely one of those guys that just likes to hammer it out and get it finished. And it's the same in rallying. You know, I'm there to do a job. Yeah, it's tough at times, but I have a job to do, and that's to get to the finish of the rally under every circumstance. If my bike breaks, I got to fix it. I don't just walk away from it, you know, do whatever I can to get to the end. And you know, it was really great to see Greg and Joey that raced the Africa race with us. There was a lot of people in one stage. I think there was only 17 bikes finished one stage, like that one of the difficult stages, because the first half of the stage was so tough in the dunes. Most people bailed and went on the road to the end of the stage. Those guys were running at the back of the field, or the second half of the field, and they were determined not to bail. They rode through the night to get to the end of that stage. Why? Because when they stood on the finish podium in Dakar, they wanted to know in their mind that they didn't cut and run. They didn't cheat and go on the road. Like, they did the whole Africa Eco Race. And that medal to them says they did the whole Africa Eco Race. There's a lot of people that didn't complete the whole course, and they were there for adventure, and that's great. But in Joey and Greg's mind, they wanted to do the whole rally, and they did it. And I found it amazing that they drove through the desert in the night to get to the finish. So that's the same kind of attitude to have. You've got to want it to do it. And that's where a lot of the motivation comes from, is just wanting it so bad and never giving up. I mean, you saw my Dakar 2017 documentary on YouTube, the Malamoto Forgotten Dakar Story, it's called. I was in tears. You know, I was broken. I literally didn't have enough sleep, but I wasn't going to give up. I had to get to the end of that race for me and all my fans and followers and everybody. That's why I wanted to do it. Right, okay, that's that. Next one's from Felix. What should I definitely not miss on my first 4-week adventure bike trip? That's a really tough question. Well, I would just say don't waste time. If you've got 4 weeks, plan where you're going to go. Don't spend too much time planning. There's one question in here, like, I don't know where it is, but I'll just answer it now. There's one question that said, how much time do you spend planning on like Garmin and all the map software and everything? At the start of my trip, I used to plan 6 months in advance. After 1 year, it was 2 months in advance. After 2 years, I never did a day planning in advance. I just had an idea in my head where I wanted to go and the direction I wanted to go, but very rarely did I plan it in advance. I just wung it, and that was really awesome because you never know what's around the corner. You might meet someone tomorrow that tells you of an amazing place to go this way, but you've booked a hotel that way. Like, that's the reason for not doing it. Just take it as it comes each day and really be open about what you're going to do every day. And when I was in Africa, I met some people that gave me routes that, yeah, there might have been a 2-week route, so I had a plan for 2 weeks, but I didn't plan it. Somebody gave me it and said, here, you need to do this, it's amazing. And I went and did it. If I didn't meet that person, that wouldn't have happened. If I'd have planned to go a different way, I'd have said, oh no, I've got my plan sorted. Leave the plan open, flexible, have a flexible plan, flexible travel plan, and you will really enjoy your trip more. I do anyway. I know everybody's not the same. Some people probably want to have it all dialed out, know where they're going to be and be in control and everything, but that's not me. I literally made it up day by day towards the end of my trip. Okay, next one's from Mark Dryson. With all the additional free time on your hands at this time, have you gone into overdrive planning for new initiatives? Well, I'm always in overdrive planning new initiatives. So in here, in my mind, there's always things going on. What's going to happen next? What's the next project? What's the next big adventure project? And there is a big one coming. There's all sorts in my mind. We don't have any dates yet, and we don't have any firm plans, but I've got an idea what I want to do for my next adventure project. In terms of racing, it's going to be Erzberg 2018 and it hard enduro race, but after that it will be an adventure project, and I can't wait to share what it will be, but at the moment there's some options, so I'm not really sure. So yes, always thinking about the next thing, and staying fit at home. It's hard to stay fit. I've been doing all sorts of fitness at home, but I'd like to get out on my bicycle. Have you considered doing bike disassembly, building mechanical workshops for people that want to learn? I've actually thought about doing that online. So I've thought about doing some like tutorials, you know, best ways to clean your bike properly, best ways to service it, the things to look out for on your bike and all those kinds of things. I've just seen do you play video games? I don't have time to play video games. Sorry, Craig. No, I don't have time to play video games. But yeah, I would like to make some DVDs maybe, or some online videos with maintenance tips and tricks and stuff like that. So maybe that's something that I do going forwards. Maybe if my travels and adventures slow down a little bit, I would do some of that as well. But at the moment, I'm just maxed with movie making for Races to Places, getting all those episodes done to get them out to the world, because there's still like the whole of the rest of Africa and Europe to share that I did on Races to Places. So it's looking like there's at least another 30 episodes to come out yet on Races to Places. So it's a lot, and there's other stuff being filmed as well. So there's just so much going on. It's great. It's busy. It's great. But there's a lot of editing, a lot of reviewing episodes and stuff like that. There's another episode coming out from Africa Eco Race. It's more of a kind of interview, kind of interactive questions and answers about the race. It's really cool. I've just watched the final version today, and hopefully that's going to be coming out in the next week or so. Okay, next one. Has KTM always been the lineup bike of your choice? No, I've had all sorts. I've had Yamahas, Kawasaki's, Hondas, you name it. I've had them all. Just since 2005, I've been a KTM person, yes. More because of the adventure bikes, and them being more geared to the hardy adventurer like the KTM 950, so I just stuck with them. And obviously the later enduro bikes, I really like them. I like the build quality, and I like the way that they put together, so I just stick with them, really. There's no I don't get any sponsorship from KTM, so there's no there's no reason for me to stay with them other than I really like the product, and I think that's important. Like I like the bikes. I can jump on them and ride them well, understand them well, I know them in and out, and can repair them easily. So that's one of the reasons I stuck with them. I know this could be a touchy question for sponsors, etc. No, because from a bike point of view, I don't have a motorcycle sponsor. So all the bikes that I have, all the bikes that I race with, all the bikes that you see me riding, I own them. I buy them myself. They're my bikes. They belong to me. Nobody gives me a bike. They all belong to me. So if people were wondering if I get my bikes for free from KTM, definitely not. I'm not sponsored by KTM at all. I do, KTM factory racing have helped me out, like for the Dakar and stuff before, with parts to rebuild my bike and stuff like that. But in terms of getting the bikes, I've always bought the bikes from KTM. Thanks again for taking the time. No problem. Okay, another one here. Question: tell us about the bike you dream about riding / owning. It's a really easy question. The bikes that I dream about riding and owning are the bikes that I own. I wouldn't be any other way. Like, I dreamt about building my own adventure bike that was the ultimate adventure bike. I did it. That was Basil. I rode around the world on him, 250,000 kilometers. I did 10 races on him. Love that bike. Still love it today. Still going strong. Superb bike. 450 rally, wanted to race a new 450 rally. That's what I got. That's what I raced. So I don't really have a dream bike. I own my dream bikes, which is really awesome. The only thing that I don't own, which I would like to own, is I'd like to get my first TY175 bike back, just to have it and have some fun on. So yeah, I'd like to do that. So okay, another one. Small bear on a bike. Can you explain your method for always being so positive and motivated? Really, really tough question, because I don't really know how it is. I think one of the things is, like, when you wake up on a morning, you can wake up on a morning and you can get up thinking, I don't want to go to work. I don't enjoy my job, or I don't do this, But even when I was in that position, I would get up in the morning and say, right, I'm going to have my breakfast. I'm going to go to work and I'm going to smash this, and this out today before I come home. And that, in turn, it might be difficult, but it makes you feel good. When you tick things off a list, that's how I rock. It makes me feel good. When I get an episode out on Races to Places, it makes me feel good. When I spend an hour exercising, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I've done something. Even though I'm not delivering for anybody else, it makes me feel like I've delivered something, and that motivates me. So, the whole sharing my video series on Races to Places, it helped me to do Races to Places, because sharing the content, going through the hassle of making the video and seeing the video go out to the public, that became the challenge for me. That was my work. That was my job, was to film edit and create the episodes and get them out to the public in the early days without it costing the public anything. And even now, you know, that was the challenge, and I did it. And, you know, now we have 160, 170, 180 episodes on YouTube. It's crazy. The amount of investment in time and money that has gone in and people involved to make that happen. But it makes you feel good. When I look at it, I see what I did for my job for the last 5 years. And it makes me feel good, and it makes me want to do more. And I think that's part of what keeps me motivated to do more. I'm always looking for that next adventure, the next challenge. What's better than what I've done before? And how can I do it different to make people interested in it? And that's how I do it. I think it's just, you know, a lot of people have seen me post positivity. You know, somebody mentioned it to me once, #positivity. It's like, it's just staying positive. Try not to let yourself get down, you know, in certain situations, and not pull others around you. I've met so many negative people on my travels, and I remove myself from those people. I don't want to be around them because they have a negative effect on people around them. When you put yourself in and around positive people, you just become positive in yourself, and everybody becomes positive around you. And it's the same in the work environment, and it's the same for me. You know, I love being around positive people. I love what they do and love having a good time and enjoying life, and put the negative stuff out of the way and just try and push through and have a good time. So I think that has a lot to do with it. What inspired me to share my adventures? I don't really know. I think it was lots of discussion about social media. I always wanted to do a blog. I thought that would be a good idea. To do it like I did in videos, that was never the plan. It just happened. And I think the inspiration didn't really come from anywhere. I think it was just an idea that we could probably share it. And I was quite comfortable being on camera. Some people are not comfortable on camera, so it helps a lot that I'm comfortable being on camera and being filmed. So that's why I did it. And honestly, like, not so much the inspiration now, but the motivation to keep doing it is all you guys watching the videos. You know, when I get the comments back on the videos, all those, okay, there's always a few negative comments, but, you know, 99% of the comments that come back are positive, engaging, enthusiastic, thankful for what I've done. And that makes it worthwhile. You made somebody's day. I maybe motivated somebody else to do something. And that makes me feel good, and it makes me want to do more. So I just keep doing that. Someone just said, oh, Marion, motivational speaker should be a next job. You know, I have actually started to put together a little bit of a keynote speech, which I'd like to give, like conferences or something, because I think that would be really cool. I've got some good ideas about how I do it and stuff. Okay, so we're on to Facebook questions. So there were a load of Instagram questions. We're on to Facebook questions now. Patience. Which app do you use for making clips and movies? So all my Races to Places episodes are either made on Premiere or Final Cut Pro. Just depends which editor did them. I'm actually terrible at video editing. Yes, I've done a few features of Races to Places, but I'm not a good editor. I don't even begin to think that I am. I try, but the guys that edit my series, Mikey and Dario and Andy, the guys that edited the Africa Eco Race series, those have got a special talent that I don't have. And it's really important in any business, anything that you do, to get the right people doing the job. Otherwise, it's not time effective, it's not cost effective. So I'm really thankful that I've got a bunch of good people around to help get it done, and that I've got my patrons on patreon.com/LyndonPoskett to help fund the editors, because it costs a lot of money to edit Races to Places. So my Patreon channel still doesn't fund the full costs of Races to Places video series. I still have to put money in myself from an editing point of view, but we're getting there compared to what it was 3 years ago. So and people like the fact that they can watch newer episodes on Patreon. We're actually going to do a Patreon only live feature as well, which is next week, where I'm going to talk to my patrons about some of the possible things that they'd like to see on Patreon, because we do things like, there's a special feature on Patreon about Basil Bike. It's almost an hour long, and it talks through all the details and every last little feature and detail of my bike. That's really cool. Those guys paid for that. They wanted it. I put a survey out, they wanted it, and I filmed it, and you can see it on patreon.com. So they're just some of the things that happen, and that's how it gets edited. So all the stuff that I do on my phone, like all the social media I do on my iPhone. I mean, my iPhone's battered. It like gets hammered. I get a new one every year, and it just gets hammered. The battery gets hammered on it, but that's what I do. So most of my social media stuff is all done on my phone. If it's a video edit, time lapse, anything, it's done on the phone. Okay, so route planning we've already covered. Video. Okay. Bethany Tulls asked, how do you organize your video footage when projects are done? This is really easy to explain. So when I'm filming, I use about 6 or 7 different cameras, and like Africa Eco Race, we would use like 20 cameras in a day. What we do is we download all the footage from the day, and it was the same on Races to Places, except I would leave it for like 5 to 7 days before downloading. Then I would empty all the cards onto my computer. I would grab everything in days, so 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, like that, of the month, and I would drag all those videos into one folder, and I would call it, for example, like today, 28th of March, 2020, and I would write what I was doing, put a folder title on it, and then all the videos from that day are in that folder. Same once we've started editing. We have build files in certain folders. We have all the episode numbers. We have episodes 1 to 15, seasons 1 to 15, episodes 1 to 12 in each one, all the special features, they're all there. I mean, there is literally terabytes of data, and that's how we keep it all together. And it's all on different drives all over the world, backed up and safe. So it's hard, it's a lot of work. And those that saw my Instagram post will have seen that I have a 60 terabyte big drive here with everything on it, and then we have other drives in other venues as well, just so that we have a different location with it. Do you have a template for the file name folders? No, just in dates. It's really easy. And here we go. Right. Philip Castillo, just watched Baldy Lyndon video, great dialogue. Yeah, if you go to adventurerider.com, on the homepage, there is a questions answers that I did with the founder of adventurerider.com, Chris McCaskill. It was a cool 1.5 hour session. So if you have time, lots of different stuff. I haven't covered the same stuff in this one. Go and watch that for sure. You mentioned smaller bikes, your thoughts on, yeah, I've already talked about bikes and what I would use for my next adventure. Matthew Roddice, given that you've learned over the years and your budget for a build, those of us longing for an LPR rally special but not having the funds at the moment would like to hear your recipe for a budget adventure bike. You know, any bike can be an adventure bike, really. Like, you can adventure on a Honda 90. You can adventure on a 250 KTM. You can adventure on whatever you want. Every single bike out there is an adventure bike. The bottom line comes about how comfortable you want to be doing it, how fast you want to do it, and what you want to do on your adventure. For me, I wanted to race, so I had to have a race bike. Otherwise, I'd be struggling away with crap suspension, and that's not what I wanted. I didn't want a production bike. I wanted something really good to do what I wanted to do on. And if you want to build something to race, you've got to have the best components on it. It's as simple as that. But you don't have to. You know, you could ride around the world on the bike that you've got sat in your garage. I know people have ridden around the world on a Suzuki Katana 600, the teapot, yeah? Like a road bike, because they just wanted to ride around the world. It's not important what you do it on. It's getting out there and doing it. It's only important what you do it on if you have specific things you want to be able to achieve. If you don't have anything that you need to particularly achieve, just set off on the bike that you've got, and you'll have an amazing adventure, breaking it, fixing it, meeting people, changing it, upgrading it. That's part of the journey. So that would be my advice, is just run what you've got and have the fun, you know, and don't waste time. Just get out there and do it. obviously I wanted tank capacity, so I wanted a 600-kilometer range, so I need big tanks. I mean, if you're not planning to ride remotely, you don't need that. So a lot depends on the actual trip that you're planning to do. Phil Perkins, where does someone get started to go from zero to Dakar? I think we've already covered that, Phil. And what bike and road book? Yeah, we've already covered that in a different question earlier. Okay, here's a couple of questions that have come in as well. Someone, I'm just reading a question someone's put there. Dawn, any ideas when will you physically won't be able to race any longer? Did you like running a team for Eco Race? Was it too stressful? It was really stressful running the team Africa Race before, and especially being a racer and team manager was like, it was overload for sure. I really enjoyed the team manager aspect though, and for sure, you know, for me, I think I can ride till I'm in my 70s, hopefully. So I hope there's a lot more riding in me yet. Whether I'll be racing all that time, I don't know. Will I be running a team? I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of discussions going on at the moment for next year, and we'll see what happens. But I'm really not sure at the moment what's happening, or that I can share anyway at the moment. Okay, I've already answered that one. Yeah, I've answered that one as well. Okay, someone asked the question about what are your thoughts on possibility of regulated speed for motorcycles in future races like the Dakar. This is not new. We've been here before. They're trying to reduce the speed to try and reduce dangers and implications of high-speed crashes and stuff. The big problem with reducing speed on a motorcycle with an electronic restrictor is a lot of the time you use the engine's torque to settle the motorcycle. And if that's cut off at any speed, it can be dangerous. So the only obvious way to do it is buy an air restrictor on the bike so that you reduce the overall power output. I can definitely see that being tested and that being a possibility going forwards. I mean, I personally wouldn't mind it if they changed the capacity maximum in rally racing to 250cc. Honestly, like I would race a 250cc rally bike, no problem at all, as long as everyone else was on the same 250cc bike. The problem is if they reduce the capacity too much, the exoticness of the bikes to make them go fast for the World Championship will be higher, and the cost of running those to keep them maintained at that high level is going to be expensive again. So it's a fine balance. I think a little air restrictor in a 450 maybe might be the answer, but I really don't know. I mean, clearly there was quite a few deaths in Dakar this year compared to previous couple of years, and I think a lot of it has to do with speed, but also you know, the road books, handing them out on the morning of the rally, that, you know, not giving the riders time to look through the road book ahead of time can be an implication on that as well. So I think there's a big picture that the rally organisers have got to look at. The FAM in particular have got to look at that as a big picture and decide on some key things to keep the sport safe. And I'll roll with anything that they want to put in place to keep the sport safe, because at the end of the day, we all want to be safe out there. No one wants to get injured. No one wants to have a big crash. So anything they can do to try and help that, I think will be well received in the long term. And if you look at the 450 engine capacity limit for the bikes, that was put in force in 2010, you know, nobody liked it, but we're racing 450s now and we're all having a great time. So I think whatever's put in place, it'll take a year or two to iron itself out, but it'll be fine. Okay, getting towards the end of the questions now, but I'll keep going. We've watched races to places. This is from Ben. We've watched races to places evolve over the year. Your gear has evolved also. Other than the new panniers and luggage, what have you changed about the camping gear? Base layers, clothes, etc. That's a big question. You know, I mean, you know, I started my journey with Klein clothing from the USA, and then I worked with Adventure Spec to develop the Adventure Spec clothing with them. Wore that for best part of 2 years of races to places. And now I'm wearing Climb clothing again and back working with Climb again to develop some new clothing for them and new products for them. So, you know, it's all good gear. You know, I've ridden some great gear. With regards to the luggage system, you know, I've been working with Enduristan because they really do listen to ideas and things that I put forward to them, and they asked me if I would work with them to develop a pannier system to work with the luggage rack, like the standard KTM luggage rack, and they wanted a detachable soft bag, which is not easy to come up with a solution for. So hopefully we've done that, and it's going to be out in the next month or two. So it's something different to what anybody else has done, and I'm interested to see how we get on with that. And the first production version should be available in the next month. So that's a new product that's coming out. But also the Enduristan product, you know, I struggled with tank bags and getting waterproof tank bags for my cameras. And Enduristan were the only people that made a waterproof tank bag that I could find on the market that didn't have either a dry bag inside it or a cover over the top of it in some form. It was just a waterproof tank bag, and it worked. And that's why my involvement with Enduristan started, just because I ordered a tank bag and loved it so much. And then I got some of the other product, and the whole relationship went from there. And there's actually an episode coming, a special feature, when we release the new bags, about how my relationship with Enduristan came about. But in terms of clothing, it's just evolved because of relationships and me working with different sponsors to develop new stuff. And also, I always go with product that works. I don't like to, you know, wear something that doesn't work. You know, I'll talk about boots for a little bit. Some of you saw that I wore City boots for a long time. My problem is I've got a high instep and I can't wear the City Crossfires. It's just a personal fit thing. They're an absolutely amazing boot, but the Alpine Star boots fit me and are so much more comfortable for me that I made the switch to Alpine Star. So you've got to wear what's comfortable to you. Otherwise, because you're the user, you know, you're the one paying for it. So you need to have the right stuff on. So all the stuff that I wear, all the stuff that I use on Races to Places, I promote and I sell it on my website, a lot of it, because I believe in it. So, and I've tested it, so I know how it works. What's the most significant change you made to my gear? Well, I think the two most significant changes are the clothing, going from Climb to Adventure Spec and then Adventure Spec back to Climb, and also the luggage from various different suppliers like Adventure Spec, Giant Loop, stuff like that, and then swapping through all the different variations, trying different things. And now all my luggage, everything on the bike is Enduristan, because it does work, and it's tough, it's resilient, and it's waterproof, it's lightweight. And I just love it. Backpack, everything. So that's why I ended up sticking with them, really. I like the product. And they make such a big variation of product, which suits an adventure rider. You know, they have everything from small pouches and pockets that fit on your bike, toolkits, right through to duffel bags, tank bags, saddle bags and more, rucksacks, everything you need as an adventure rider they've got. And it's perfect. Right, we're on the last page now. Just talked about clothing and that. I've been watching Races to Places since season 1 and consider Lyndon an inspiration. Thank you. 3 questions. Okay, so these are from Jeremy S. Thanks, Jeremy. I always wondered, I haven't even read these, I could read anything out, couldn't I? I always wondered if you felt his ADV riding place to place, sometimes exhausting, sometimes boring, often glorious, made him a better racer in events. So yeah, okay. Yes, sometimes it was really tiresome. You know, riding on Races to Places, sometimes I didn't want to do it. Sometimes I didn't want to get out of my tent on the morning because it was raining. Sometimes I was in a really muddy area that was tough to get through and I was exhausted. Who remembers the jungle in Thailand? When I got stuck in the jungle, I was so exhausted. I honestly thought I could have died in there. It was so bad. But I managed to get through it. So yeah, there's definitely times where you really don't want to be in these situations, and you are. Yeah, it's sometimes boring. But you know what? Majority of the time, it's awesome and glorious and fantastic, and we love it. So Camilla's making me a cup of tea. Thanks. Okay, you've dabbled. Sorry, another one. Will Camilla join you for any future adventures and Races to Places? We've definitely talked about it. Camilla needs to up her riding game a little bit. So we're hoping in the summer that we can get out riding a little bit more. Yeah, for sure. She's laughing. She's over in the kitchen laughing at me. Yeah, she needs to up her game a little bit, but I think for sure she'll make a great little adventure rider. And the best thing is that she loves adventure. She loves being outdoors and doing all of that stuff, and loves being in and around me. She came to the end of Dakar in 2018. She came to the end of Antwerp Eco race. She loves being in amongst all the bikes and the stuff that goes on. So I'm sure she'll be part of it moving forwards. Plus, she's way nicer to watch than you. Thank you. You dabbled with four wheels. Is that something we can expect more of? I've been in discussions with various people about navigating in four wheels at Dakar, and a couple of opportunities in the pipeline possibly, but I'd love to race the Dakar on four wheels, but realistically, to be able to put a car and a budget together and a team to be able to do that, I'd love the opportunity to do it and film a special feature about it. I think it would be awesome, and it would be a new angle for what I do. But I'd need a team to come along and sort of say, right, I think this would be a great thing to do. Would you be interested in working with us? Because it's not something that I've got the budget to do, unfortunately. So I might well navigate for somebody as well. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I certainly loved it. It worked for Cyril Dupre. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, he's the world champion, and I'm Lyndon Poskett, so it might be a bit different trying to get a ride. Thanks for your vision, courage, and inspiration. Thank you. Here's some final questions from Campo 675 on Adventure Rider. Asked a couple of questions. You've seen so many different countries on your trip. Is there one trip we could take? If there was one trip we could take, which country would it be? That's like saying which is your favorite country. There's so many, I don't really know. I think in terms of scenery, awesome riding, mountainous ranges and stuff like that, the ones that stick out in my head are like Chile, Argentina, Patagonia in particular. The Continental Divide in America, Utah in North America, Ethiopia in Africa, and New Zealand was pretty awesome too. So there's quite a few countries there. You made a video about why you chose a 690 Rally versus a standard 690. If people don't have the money for a 690 Rally, would you say T7, 790, 990 would be a better choice than 690 Enduro for the normal traveling part you have done without the rallies? Well, that depends on the normal traveling part and how you want to do it. Because if you want to do like the old summer road solo, if you want to do some of the remote passes like the Canal Heritage Trail that I did in Canada, you want to do like the Simpson Desert Crossing, and you want to ride across the Atacama Desert solo through really difficult terrain, why on earth would you want to be on a big heavy bike like a T7, a 790 or a 990? I would pick something lighter and smaller and more manageable if you're going to do that. If you're going to ride with a bunch of friends and you're all capable riders and you all just want to do gravel roads and stuff, you can ride whatever you want. I mean, you could ride an R1 on those roads. I mean, I know people that have ridden around the world on Yamaha R1 and they've ridden in more off-road situations. A lot of people I know own 1190s have ridden in. So, you can ride whatever bike you want. It's just how comfortable you want to be doing it and how safe you want to be as well. I wouldn't want to be traveling through the old summer road in Siberia where I went with Lucas on a 1290 Adventure R. It's a big heavy bike to get through those rivers with all the boulders in them and everything with luggage. It's not my cup of tea. Why struggle through with that when you can have something lighter? So that's my take on that. When you were looking for partners and sponsors, how long did it take before you found sponsors that were willing to partner up with you? Well, I didn't really go out looking for them, to be honest. A lot of them just came about through relationships, through people mentioning products and stuff to me, and I started using product, and then I got to know the company a little bit, and a lot of them just developed over time. Obviously, I was approached by a number of sponsors, but it's not like people think. Nobody came up to me and said, hey, I want to give you a load of money to carry on doing what you're doing. That didn't happen. And it still doesn't happen today. A lot of them want to receive something in return for what I do. And that's what I do. You know, I deliver a documentary, I deliver media off the back of what I do, and in return for that, I get benefits from sponsors and partners around the world, and that's how it's worked out so far. But usually, like I've said before to a lot of people, nothing comes for free. You know, you've nearly always got to do something before you get anything. And the harder you work, the more rewards you get, and that goes for so many things in life. And it's definitely worked for me. That put the hard work in, and you will get the reward, and that's what happens. I'm looking at building a gentleman's rally bike. This is the last question, so we're just going to go on to free fall in a minute, where I'm going to get you to fire stuff on there, and I'm going to answer it, and then it'll be the end, really. So it's already been 1 hour and 20. Last one is, I want to build a gentleman's rally bike. Can you compare the chassis of the 450RR to that of a 701? Well, if you ride a 701 and a 450 rally back to back, you will definitely fall in love with the 450 rally from a chassis point of view. From an engine point of view, I actually really like the LC4 engine. It's got a lot more torque than a 450, but I'm telling you, the 450 rally chassis is an exceptional piece of work. It's so easy to ride fast, and it's so forgiving. If I ride a 701 to how fast I can ride, it's not long before I'm bottoming suspension out and getting the bike out of shape, whereas the factory rally bike just soaks everything up. So, but I appreciate that it's 3 times more money. So you can do exactly the same tracks, exactly the same trails and adventures and races as you can on a 450 in some respects on a 701 if you want to, and save the money. So you just won't be able to do it as fast, or if you do it as fast, you won't be as safe on a 701, would be my take on it, without spending a lot of money on suspension and setup and everything. You know, and in terms of a base bike, there's so many good bikes out there. You know, there's a CRF 450L. I mean, it's, you know, if you get it up to sort of 45 horsepower, and put some good suspension in it, it's actually a good bike. You know, there's so many good bikes out there. I think a lot of people spend too much time worrying about what bike that they ride. Just because I ride the best and the 450 rally doesn't mean to say everyone else has to. You know, I rode a factory rally bike around the world because I wanted to. Doesn't mean to say everybody else has to. I just encourage people to get out there, ride what you've got, and enjoy it. Don't worry too much about, you know, not having the best of the best. I know so many people that cover their bikes in anodized orange and blue, and they put fancy wheels in and everything. None of it makes the bike any better. It's just bling. It's all BS. Like, the best, they'd be better off putting money in fuel and time on the bike and investing time riding more, and getting out or putting money into better suspension and better tires than wasting it on stuff like that. And spending time riding, it would be really cool to see more people out riding and getting experience in, because that's what makes you a better rider and ultimately makes you safer as well. The more time you put in on a bike, the safer you typically are, because you get more experience in different scenarios. So I'd encourage anyone to spend their money on putting fuel in their bike and getting out and riding, whatever you've got. And then change it when you need to. Right, I'm going to shut this computer now because that's all the questions. So it took me 1 hour and 20 to get through those questions. So, right, I'm just going to have a quick scan down the side. Big shout out to everybody that's commented and passed comment. I think it's really awesome. I haven't had time to read them, but I will read them. Just going down now. Did you like the KTM TPI that I raced at Roof of Africa? Yes, it was mint. It was a standard bike and it was solid. So yes, it was really good. And I've just got another one, 2300 TPI. Have you done a rally with your dad in his historic rally car, Paul? No, but I would absolutely love to. So my dad has his own rally car, but it needs a lot of work doing on it. And I really hope that my dad can invest some time in the next year to get that car done, because I would love to take it rallying with him. I think it would be an awesome experience. So I hope that's going to happen. Wow, coming thick and fast now. I can't hold on to him. Which color was your TY, red or yellow? It was red and white. Wow, I can't keep up. Everyone's firing questions and I have to scroll it down to have a look through. Thoughts on the 790? I've only ridden one very briefly, so it'd be really crazy of me to try and give you my honest opinion on a bike that I haven't ridden very much, to be honest. So I'm not going to try and do that. I would have to have it for a good bit of time before I could pass judgment on a bike. Hey Lyndon, what was the scariest moment during Races to Places? The scariest moment of Races to Places was in Ethiopia, and it's not been shared in the video series, but it's definitely going to be talked about in my book. So you'll have to wait for the book to come out to find out what happened there. What's your best injury story? I think if you are signed up on Patreon, you will see the incident where I broke my hand in Africa. And that's probably one of my best injury stories, I think. Someone said there, Stephen, yeah, ride what you've got and enjoy it, gold. Exactly, guys. You know, this is about adventure. You know, I personally, I don't care whether you've got a 790R with all the sticker kit and everything on it, or whether you've got a WR450 that's 7 years old. As long as you're out there having fun, that's what it's about, guys. It's about getting out there, riding your bike and having fun. And that's sometimes what people forget, because they end up working hard to earn money to improve their bike when they'd be better off just putting less overtime in and getting out on the bike that they've got. I know it's a very silly sort of thing to think about, but just enjoy life, because it can be very short. You know, I've lost a couple of friends over the past few years that were in their 30s, and it's sad, it can be over like that. So get out there and enjoy yourself. That's what we're here for. We've got to really make the most of our time on this planet. Where are we? Pointless. Oh, it's hard to read all these and keep up with this stuff. Yeah, Paris Peking Rally with my dad. What a great idea. Rally Motor, good things in the UK with Roadbook. Do you fancy doing one? Yeah, Rally Motor. Oh, look at this. Hey, anybody, come and sit down. Camilla's just come and brought me a cup of tea. Look, how awesome is that? Why not? We're on lockdown. Why not include family lockdown? Like, so, but anybody that is watching that has been to stay at my house with Camilla, especially Matt from Races to Places, will be really jealous when I show them this, right? Because that is cheese bread, freshly baked Camilla cheese bread. Well, Brazilian cheese bread, pão de queijo. It's so amazing. I can't really eat it while I'm on the video, but that's a good enough reason to wrap it up in a few minutes. But yeah, cheers for the cup of tea. Anybody got any questions for Camilla while she's here? That would be quite cool. Fire some questions over for Camilla. I'll try and answer some questions as well. Hey. Oh, when's the wedding, Camilla?
Well, I'll actually have the same question. When is the wedding, Lyndon?
It's for you.
Well, in reality, we definitely want it, but we're just taking it a little bit easy with all the settling. But yeah, definitely it's coming at some point.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be fun. So, yeah. Okay.
Yorkshire tea,
yeah, definitely Yorkshire tea. It's definitely Yorkshire tea. Does Camilla like Yorkshire tea? Camilla, she does like Yorkshire tea, but she drinks a lot of
herbal
tea, which I'm not into all that flowery BS. You know, I'm just just give me the straight Yorkshire tea with milk, and that's good. How did you guys meet? We met on Tinder.
Yeah,
we met on Tinder on the dating app in San Francisco. I was traveling. And I think I just thought, it'd be nice to meet a female while I'm here. I don't know why I would want to meet a female while I was there. But yeah, my first Tinder date in San Francisco, that was it.
Yeah, well, people don't believe in it, but trust me, it's just there.
Camilla, do you still have the 390 Duke?
No, unfortunately, I don't have it, but it was such a perfect bike to me. And in San Francisco, it was just perfect for the whole shopping and going back and forth through the town and all the ups and downs.
Camilla, is Lyndon stuck on himself?
Sometimes, yeah.
Hey, you have to be. I mean, to do what I do, sometimes you have to be. Oh yeah. Camilla, do you ride? And if not, yes, she does ride.
Yeah, I love it.
Not as
I
often
love
as she would like, but yes,
both.
definitely rides.
I mean, like,
Some of our good friends here in Spain have actually just loaned us a Van 125,
that's true.
and she's hopefully going to spend a lot of time on that, trying to learn to ride better on the roads, because she hasn't ridden much on the road. So,
but definitely love it. It's just about to find the right time to do that, and got the best teacher right next to me. Sometimes he goes on the back seat.
I do. I've been on the back when I was teaching her to ride. I went on the back on the road in San Francisco. It was scary as hell, but I did it anyway. Who makes the best brew? Honeymoon, yes. And it's a honeymoon. It's a month long. We've already decided that, and it's going to be cool. Lots of stuff going on, and yeah, there'll be lots of cool photos coming out of that for sure. Missed the opportunity to meet you guys. Marion, Dan, Marion, you've been awesome. Thanks so much for all the support that you've given me towards my rally races. Dakar 18, big sponsor. Dakar AER, you were a title sponsor for the series on Kickstarter. Can't thank you enough. Hope to meet you one day. I still owe you from 2018 Dakar, but I've got a little gift coming your way, so don't worry, I haven't forgotten, and we will get to meet soon in Canada.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where did Camilla grow up? Good question, Ben. Would you like to answer?
Well, I was born in Uzbekistan. It's one of the former Soviet Union republics, if someone doesn't know about it. But after I moved to Czech Republic and done my one of the degrees, master degree in engineering in transport telecommunication systems, it's all was in Czech Republic.
Definitely not mechanical engineering.
No, it's all IT.
Else.
It's all information technology and security. I'm all in computers. And after I moved from Czech Republic to United States, that's where we met. Yeah, now in Spain.
And having a tech engineer in the house is really cool for me, because I'm crap with like systems and computers and my website and security. Having a cybersecurity specialist in the house that like knows everything about computers is awesome. And obviously having a mechanical electrical engineer in the house is awesome as well, because like it's always like, Lyndon, can you come fix this? Lyndon, can you come fix that?
That's true. Je parle français peu. Je parle un peu.
Somebody asking if you speak. Yeah.
Speak French. Yeah.
How many languages do you speak? Like
8, probably 8. Yeah. Every day I can use in like around 4 or 5 of them. The rest is I'm trying to maintain them, that I'm still able to speak intermediate level, but not that professional. But
I wish I had Camilla with me numerous times when I was on my travels. That would be.
I'm sure awesome. That makes more fun the adventure when you don't speak.
Yeah. Do I have a sister? Yes, I do have a sister. Are you asking Camilla if she has a sister? Yes, she has an identical twin sister.
Yep. If identical. You see someone like me, it's my sister. Yeah. Or if you see her, it's gonna be me.
Yeah. How old are both of you? I'm 41.
30. I think I'm gonna turn 38 this year. Yeah, I'm 37. Yeah.
Recipe for that bread. Awesome. Yeah, I can share the bread recipe.
We could,
no problem.
But it's a proper one, the one from Brazil, pão de queijo. It's that the mixtura you're using, gnocchi.
But you got to add more cheese, a lot more cheese.
It's written that it's already got cheese, but
it's not. It's
I'm putting like probably 300 grams.
500 grams. More cheese. Everything's better with cheese, yeah? Okay. Barely speak one. It's so funny. Yorkshire accent. Did Lyndon needs to translate his Yorkshire accent? That's so funny, because even now, like, I'll say something and Camilla will be like, I don't understand what you're saying. Like,
frankly, I didn't know that he's from UK when I met him.
She said she would never date anybody from the UK.
It's a joke.
Should I go for? Oh, I can't help people with bike decisions. They need to make their own mind up on bikes. Make a trip out of New York again. Yeah, I hope to be back in New York, Michael. Did I meet you in there? I hope I met you over there. I haven't ridden in Iceland and would really like to. Alistair. Hello, Alistair. Wow, so many comments. Could you tell us about your friendship with Manuel Lucchesi? Yeah, Manuel's awesome. We met at Dakar 17. He was racing Malimoto. Now we are really good friends. So yeah, we'll be doing some riding together this year for sure. We already have some plans for that. We both love motocross, and I'm sure we'll get together at each other's places to do some and share some video. Camilla is the best. Look at Teresa.
So
thanks, Teresa.
You're the best too.
Teresa, I wouldn't have even known it was you looking at the surname, because you've got a different surname on here. But anyway, I know who it is. When did you decide to quit your job and races to places? 2014. Wow, look at this. So many questions. It's crazy. Camilla, OS of choice.
Operational system. I grown up on Windows. I broke it so many times. I just uninstalled it since the start one when you had it, Millennium, 98, and all of them up. But once I got introduced to Mac, I would say I'm super happy with it too. So it basically depends on you, what you prefer to work with.
Yeah.
But Chromebook with their operational system is also great. It really depends on you. But I'm now stick with Mac, and I'm happy with it.
I'm Mac through and through. A good question. Now, after Corona, have you any plans to tour in Europe? Well, we live in Europe, so it's easy to travel here. For sure, we'll be traveling because we've got a lot of partners to visit and all kinds of stuff to do in Europe. Would you be doing some meet and greets? Quite possibly. The way it works with my evening with Lyndons, everybody, is quite simple. There's a flat rate for an evening with Lyndon plus travel and expenses. So if anybody wants an evening with Lyndon or knows like a dealership or anything, or wants to put their own private event on, reach out to me, contact me. I'll give you the details. It's really awesome fun. It's like 2.5 hours long. We have all sorts of fun, sharing loads of fun pictures from my travels. I think you really enjoy it. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We'll probably do some in Europe in the next year for sure. It's just a matter of we had to cancel one that was in Germany, so because of Corona. So hopefully there's going to be some more coming. And yeah. Cameron and Kirsten, hi, and Cam, hi, my friends from Canada, awesome. Hope that we get to come up and spend some time again up there with you guys. Wow, so many people, it's so awesome. Thank you everyone for joining. It's been so mega. Are you gonna
we'll leave you to get him a little bit more time,
and I'll wrap it up. Okay.
And I'm gonna steal some on the cage. I think one was enough there.
Taking the plate, look.
All right, everyone.
See you in a bit. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool that Camilla can come and join in. She's such a good egg. She just wants to get involved in everything. It's great. I'm just trying to read all the things, just keep firing in. But we're 1:37 in, 1 hour 40. I think we should pretty much wrap it up. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. If it's something that you'd like to do again, please put a comment below the YouTube video. I'm going to make this video active on YouTube, so please feel free to share the link with your friends on your social media. That would be a great help for those people that didn't see it or know about it and want to watch it. It's something that someone can watch anytime. They can watch 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And I think given that we're all trapped indoors for a long time, or a lot of us are, it was just something useful to do. Can't thank you all enough for putting all your questions in. Yeah, it's awesome to have so many people on, at least 300 people on this every minute of it. So, you know, people have been dropping out and coming in, but it's really great to have so many people signed up and watching it. So thanks everyone. And with that, I think I'm going to enjoy my cup of tea. I'm going to go watch a movie with the girls. So that's Camilla and Aaliyah, who's 11 years old. And we're going to go have a good family evening now. I need to stoke the fire up because it's died down in the last hour while I've been talking to you. But thanks everybody for being great fans, following along, joining in, making all this sort of stuff possible. I hope you enjoyed me spending some time chatting about all kinds of stuff with you. And maybe if there's another topic, we can do something similar next week. But for now, I'm going to sign off and say thanks again, and keep all the comments coming. I'll keep the chat open for a few minutes. So thanks again, everyone, and goodbye.